So let me resume the 10th meeting of the COP, and let us continue consideration of item 4. So again, I will switch into my native language, Spanish. Todos han leído el documento, lo han analizado, lo han revisado, y estoy seguro que podrán confirmar lo que les dije. Es decir, que se construyó desde la transparencia, desde sus opiniones, desde la buena fe, desde la capacidad constructiva. Creo que eso es bueno, creo que eso nos mueve hacia el futuro, creo que eso es la manera como hemos querido actuar. Y me parece, y estoy seguro que es así, que estamos todos dispuestos a asumir el reto de aprobar este documento. Y si fuera así, y no escucho ninguna objeción, damos por aprobado el documento. So let me ask for you and request for you before to give the floor to the representative of Tuvalu. I would like to request 4 things, very brief, because it is very late to be requesting things. First of all, and I hope you can support this idea, I think that would be a good idea, if you agree, to call this document the Lima Call for Climate Action. So if you agree, it is so decided. Secondly, let me express in a very brief way my emotions. From my heart to your heart. Let me say that I've been involved in the environmental topic issue for almost 30 years. I have learned a lot. I have worked a lot. I have enjoyed what I have done in the environmental issue, with some problems, with some critics, with a lot of good things. In almost 30 years, I have seen how much the environmental issues have been grown in Peru and in the world. As you remember, I told to you that I went to the Rio 92 as a member of an NGO. And 20 years after that, I went to Rio 20 as a minister. So I have seen in the two sides what is the reality of the world. But let me say a couple of things about that. Even though sometimes look that we are in an opposite side, all the world it isn't the same, because there is just one planet. But let me make some reflections about this COP20 CMP10 meeting. When we decided at the Ministry of the Environment, with all the support of the government of Peru, and with all the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and let me also welcome the Minister of Foreign Affairs who is taking the seat of Peru, so thank you very much, Gonzalo. I couldn't imagine how much I could learn of this experience. I am currently, probably looks more than that, a 52 years old man. And I've learned in these 2 days more that I have learned, or I had learned before of these 2 days. And let me also say that last evening, I have felt that sense of why we took that probably not as well decision as we wished. Why we did that. Why we can not work in a way in which the heart of all of us, it is the same. It is the heart which voice it is oriented to, in our position of decision makers, trying to deal with a problem that is a problem for the world and for the people, and mostly for the more vulnerable people, for the citizens. And that is why when I woke up this morning, I was with another feelings. We can do it. We can do it together. We can do it in a transparent way. We can do it and we can maintain the confidence. So we have done. And what we have done here with the Lima call for climate action, it is your work. It is your heart and it is your feeling to Peru and what Peru have done for you. So thank you, really thank you very much. My second request, it is not used to having during a COP, but let me take just a couple of minutes to invite all my Peruvian team to the front of this podium, to this desk, to tell to them all my gratitude for all this very good work. So please, all the Peruvian team, join us to celebrate. Obviously, the Peruvian team includes our Foreign Affairs Minister. Gonzalo, please, come with us. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So I would like to make my last request. I'm not sure to whom. Are you Richard? Probably. So I hope that by the end of this conference, you can give me, I don't know who, this hammer to remember all of you, if it's possible, to maintain it very close in my house. Thank you. So now I would like to give the floor to the representative of Tuvalu. So you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On behalf of the least developed countries, I would like to make a brief interpretive statement based on the decision we have just made. In adopting this decision, it is the view of the least developed countries that the reference to the Warsaw Mechanism on Loss and Damage in preambular paragraph 5 and the reference to inter alia in the operative paragraph 2 is a clear intention that the protocol, another legal instrument, or an agreed outcome with legal force to be adopted in Paris will properly, effectively, and progressively address loss and damage in these respective legal options. We kindly request that this statement be reflected in the report of the meeting. Thank you.
Sure, to the representative of Tuvalu, it will be reflected on the report. So thank you very much. So let me give now the floor to the representative of India. So you have the floor.
I thank and commend COP presidency for making efforts to carry all the parties together. Everybody is and cannot be happy, but we wanted more. As BASIC and LMDC, we have made some accommodation for success of Lima. I hope that developed world will also reciprocate it in Paris. Main issue which arose after first draft were two: continuity of convention and differentiation. And with clear mention of under convention and CBDR, we have achieved consensus. I have a suggestion to make. There will always be issues of differences. The best way is to plan ahead and allocate 3-4 days for each substantive issue in 2015 and arrive at a working solution or consensus. Let us not leave all differences for the very end. Let us avoid last-minute stretching and hurdles. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister representing India. So let me give the floor to the representative of South Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We would like to take this opportunity on behalf of South Africa and the BASIC Group to very sincerely thank you for the job that you have done. You have really done very well, Mr. President. We would like to also thank the co-chairs for the excellent work that they have done on your behalf over the last 2 weeks. Mr. President, there are parts, as my colleague has said from India, there are parts of this decision that may not be satisfactory still to many of us or some of us. There are parts that we may think could have still been strengthened. However, what is important to say at this moment in time is that we do accept this text as we have done through acclamation. It is our view that this text on the Lima Accord for Climate Action manages to strike a delicate balance between very difficult issues of interest to all parties. We thank other parties for their constructive engagements, which has led to the outcome that is in front of us today. We have all worked very hard here in Lima. As our beloved father, Tata Nelson Mandela, always said, and this I relate also to what my colleague from India said, we must use time wisely and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. And as he also reminded us further, always seems impossible until it is done. It is done. We are very thankful. A solid foundation has been laid here in Lima for us to do work in Paris next year. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Edna. And sure, we should use the time wisely. And let me congratulate you and Ed from UK for helping us to facilitate the dialogue that have moved to us to take decisions on finance. Thank you very much. So before to give the floor to Bolivia, Mexico, Brazil, Venezuela, and Panama, let me say, Arthur and Kishan, that you have both played a key role in this time, in this moment in which we are celebrating the Lima call for climate action. So we feel proud of you, of both of you. So let me transmit, and I'm sure that I'm talking on behalf of all the parties, all the observers. Let me express my gratitude for what you have done, because you have dedicated your time, you have sacrificed your rest to work for the world and to work towards solution. So let me congratulate and give to you all of our gratitude. Thank you, Kishan, and thank you, Arthur. So also, I want to congratulate the new ADP co-chairs, Mr. Daniel Reifsnyder and Mr. Ahmed Hoklaf. So I look forward to working with you the next year, and I'm sure we will do in a very productive way. So congratulations for this, and hope that together we are going to work to make Paris a great success. Thank you very much. So now let me give the floor to the representative of Bolivia. So you do have the floor.
Sí, muchísimas gracias.
Dear Minister.
Gracias, señor presidente. Voy a hacer una lectura en inglés en representación del Grupo 77 más China. Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished representative, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the Group of 77 and China. Let me express our group's appreciation for the hospitality of Peru and these people of the Peruvian government for your commitment in organizing this conference. Mr. President, the group underlines the work achieved in Lima as essential to the adoption of the 2015 agreement in Paris. The group reiterates that the 2015 agreement must be under the Convention and based on the principles and provisions related to commitments and responsibilities with regard to the mitigation, adaptation, and means of an implementation, in particular, the principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. The 2015 agreement should treat the elements of mitigation, adaptation, finance, technology, development, and transfer, capacity building and transparency, of action and support in a balanced manner and on an equal footing. The provision of the 2015 agreement should focus on an enhanced action related of the three core elements. The group wishes to stress the importance of the following 5 issues as key for the 2015 agreement. 1. Underscore the importance of the principles and provision of the Convention in the 2015 agreement, in particular equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. The agreement shall be under the Convention. 2. Be consistent with the Convention, including the differentiation between developing and developing countries' parties. 3. Adaptation and loss and damage are key to the 2015 agreement and must be given their due space. 4. Finance, technology, and capacity building are essential for the 2015 agreement, and it must be clear that developing countries shall provide finance, technology development and transfer and capacity building support to developing countries. And 5, the agreement must have a vision consistent with achieving sustainable development and poverty eradication. Attempts to replace, redefine, rewrite, renegotiate, and reinterpret the Convention and its principles and provisions will complicate and delay the process. Mr. President, we welcome the full operationalization of the Green Climate Fund and urgently call for the significant capitalization of the Convention financial mechanism with new, additional, adequate, sustained, accessible, and predictable funding by developed countries' parties. We appreciate the hard work invested during this COP on important issues related to adaptation, including national adaptation plans. While much remains to be done, we welcome the much-needed progress. We also take note of the important steps achieved in Lima under the Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage associated with climate change impact. The Executive Committee will play a key role in guiding the work of the mechanisms, and we look forward to swift and significant result. Mr. President, on response measure of the group expressed its disappointment over the outcome reached. As a group, we stress the importance of addressing this issue and matter of urgency. Mr. President, we want to express to you our sincere appreciation for your leadership and guiding this COP. Thank you, Mr. President. Yes.
Thank you very much to the representative of Bolivia. Dear Minister, thank you very much. So I would like to give the floor to the representative of the European Union. So you have the floor. So I'm not sure if the representative of the European Union is waiting for the mic.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, we want to congratulate you for the way you have steered with enormous ability this difficult meeting. We have been also overwhelmed by the hospitality of your country to all of us. And we have organized splendidly this COP. In this COP, the European Union has shown considerable flexibility. We also recognize that other parties have also shown similar flexibility, because it is only by moving to the edge of our comfort zones that we will be able to move forward together towards a good outcome in Paris. Mr. President, coming on the back of recent mitigation announcements of the European Union and others, as well as the initial capitalization of the Green Climate Fund, the Lima call for climate action set us on a good course to adopt in Paris an ambitious agreement applicable to all parties. Let's start working from now towards achieving this objective. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, dear Commissioner, representative of the European Union. I'm not sure what has happened, but we don't have in the screens the list of the countries. So let ask you to probably raise your flag, your countries, to have you on the list. Probably the people of the list of the screen have just begun a strike because we have taken too much time. So now I would like to give the floor to the representative of Mexico. And maintain your, please, names to have somebody taking the countries that are requesting the floor. So please, let us hear the representative of Mexico. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. President, Mexico has the honor to speak on behalf of the Environmental Integrity Group. Let us start by thanking the people and the government of Peru for their warm welcome here in Lima, the excellent meeting facilities, and you, Minister Pulgar Vidal, for your personal commitment to achieve tangible results. Your warm-hearted personality, your experience, and your convincing power were decisive elements for the success of this COP. We owe you. I think we got a new mic. But Mr. President, we leave Lima with important decisions that set the stage for next year's negotiations, with clarity on what the pending issues are. So let me focus on the main issues, Mr. President. We are happy to send a clear signal that the ADP is moving forward on both work streams, and with the endorsement by the COP of the Lima draft text of negotiation. On finance, we have achieved good decisions that contribute to bringing us forward on the way to an agreement at COP21. Let me highlight two main issues. First, after the robust initial resource mobilization of the Green Climate Fund, the COP guidance shows the main aspects that need to be taken into consideration while further operationalizing the Green Climate Fund. And second, on long-term finance, the COP acknowledges the efforts undertaken by parties to mobilize financial support and underlines the importance for a better understanding of climate finance flows and enhanced enabling environments. On markets, the EIG believes some more substantial discussions and decisions on the framework for various approaches and the new market mechanism is needed. We think that a better understanding is needed and that substantial progress is essential as soon as possible to ensure the environmental integrity and clean accounting of international transferable mitigation outcomes. On another issue, more work needs to be done on the implementation of the KP. Decisions regarding methodological issues related to the second commitment period under the KP could not be adopted. It would have been a clear basis to the experts regarding the technical rules they have to use. Furthermore, without clarity in this regard, the ratification process will be hampered. Finally, the EIG is very pleased with the first round of multilateral assessment that has taken place during the working group sessions of the SBI. We have very much appreciated the constructive interest of all parties during the presentations, as well as how the first multilateral assessment has been conducted. The international analysis and review and international consultation and analysis are, in our view, very important processes to promote transparency and enhance the mutual understanding of our respective national policies. And we look forward to continue to engage in IAR during the June session, as well as the ICA thereafter. You can continue to count on the EIG to move our negotiations forward during 2015, a crucial year to crystallize a historic opportunity to strengthen our multilateral climate change. And now, Mr. President, if you permit me, I would switch quickly to Spanish just to give a small message on behalf of Mexico. Señor Presidente, antes de venir a Lima, nos aseguraron que la ciudad estaba continuamente cubierta de nubes. Y sin embargo, el sol nos ha acompañado. Nos ha acompañado todos los días y especialmente el día de hoy al tomar una decisión trascendental. Los resultados obtenidos en esta reunión han fijado una clara ruta y precisa para lograr un acuerdo en París que evite que el planeta incremente su temperatura en más de 2 grados centígrados. México reitera su compromiso con una negociación multilateral que fortalezca el régimen jurídico post-2020 y nos permita implementar de manera efectiva las decisiones de COPs anteriores. México presentará el primer trimestre de 2015 su contribución tentativa determinada nacionalmente, que sumará a los esfuerzos de la Federación y los gobiernos subnacionales, así como de otros actores relevantes de conformidad a nuestra Ley General de Cambio Climático. Pero, señor presidente, no debemos olvidar que la atención al cambio climático está directamente vinculante con el desarrollo. En este sentido, nuestro proceso debe fortalecerse en su vinculación con el proceso de desarrollo post-2015, así como brindar seguimiento al consenso de Monterrey sobre financiamiento para el desarrollo. Señor presidente, le agradecemos su hospitalidad, su liderazgo. Como hijo del Perú, del pueblo del Sol, nos ha iluminado con su gentileza, su indeclinable disposición y su constante sonrisa para atender la gran responsabilidad que ha cumplido con gran éxito. Reciba, señor presidente, del pueblo mexicano nuestro respeto y gratitud. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias al representante de México y permítanme no solamente agradecer sus palabras, sino transmitirle el saludo al ministro Juan José Guerra Abut y en general al gobierno de México, del cual aprendimos tanto, porque tenían antes de esta COP, algunos años antes, la experiencia de la COP16 de Cancún, que nos permitió rescatar un proceso luego de un momento difícil para el mismo. Hemos aprendido mucho de México y hemos recibido de ellos toda la disposición para ayudarnos y hemos aprendido de autoridades que ya no nos acompañan y de las autoridades del actual gobierno. Muchísimas gracias a México. Y también permítanme, and also let me say thank you to the Minister Vivian from Singapore and Minister Tina from Norway that have helped a lot during the consultation and that has shown very permeable and very open attitude to hurt all the groups. So thank you, Ting, and thank you, Vivian. So now I would like to give the floor to the representative of Australia. So you will have the floor.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, on behalf of the umbrella group of countries, I want to thank you and congratulate you for leading us to this outcome. And I want to thank the people of Peru for their warmth and hospitality. Given the hour, we've tabled our statement. And finally, I'd like to say farewell to all of our colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Australia, for your kindly words. Thank you. So, before to give the floor to the representative of Brazil, let me, under your authorization, give the floor to Minister Fabius, incoming president of COP21 in Paris for the next year. So, Minister Fabius, my friend, you do have the floor.
You ready?
Yeah. Monsieur le Président, cher Manuel, d'abord je voudrais te féliciter de ce grand succès. Je pense qu'il est dû évidemment à toutes celles et tous ceux qui sont là, mais tu as montré ce qu'un président efficace pouvait faire. Et tu as placé la barre très haut. Et j'essaierai modestement de m'en rapprocher. Je voulais intervenir, grâce à ta gentillesse, quelques instants, d'abord pour dire tout simplement que nous allons préparer les choses pour vous accueillir toutes et tous de la meilleure façon possible. J'ai noté dans beaucoup d'interventions, dans toutes d'ailleurs, que les délégués soulignaient qu'ils voulaient un grand succès à Paris. Je vais vous faire une confidence, moi aussi. Et si ce soir, nous n'étions pas parvenus à la décision que nous avons prise, les choses auraient été beaucoup plus difficiles. Mais il y a déjà, nous le savons tous, beaucoup de travail à faire entre maintenant et le mois de décembre de l'année prochaine pour régler les questions qui sont encore en suspens. Manuel nous a donné le chemin d'une bonne présidence. Il faut de l'ambition, il faut de l'écoute et il faut l'esprit de compromis. Et je pense que ces trois mots d'ordre, ce sont ceux que suivra la France. Maintenant, je voudrais ajouter un tout dernier mot. C'est une responsabilité et un honneur considérable d'accueillir une COP. Surtout lorsqu'on répète que les décisions principales qui vont engager l'avenir devront être prises à Paris. Nous mesurons cette responsabilité, cet honneur, et nous allons essayer d'en être dignes. Je voulais aussi ajouter que ce qui me frappe, sans doute comme vous, c'est que quand on parle du travail que nous faisons ici, on entend des choses à l'extérieur qui sont parfois injustes, comme si nous multiplions avec plaisir les discussions compliquées qui s'éternisent. Mais je voudrais dire simplement la chose suivante, c'est que toutes celles et tous ceux qui sont là ont consacré une partie de leur vie et même toute leur vie à ces questions de climat pour faire en sorte que des millions de personnes à travers le monde puissent vivre mieux. Et je pense que ce message, qui est le véritable sens du travail que nous faisons ici, doit passer à l'extérieur. Un dernier mot. Nous avons tous à l'esprit ce qui s'était passé à Copenhague. Je pense que grâce au travail qui a été fait par vous tous et grâce à la décision prise ce soir, le fantôme de Copenhague s'éloigne et l'espoir d'un succès à Paris se rapproche. Cela, nous le devons à vous tous et la France va faire le maximum pour vous accueillir comme il convient. Merci.
Thank you very much, Minister Fabius, my friend. And we are completely sure that Paris will achieve the success. You are going to put all your effort on that, and we will move toward that. So thank you very much. So I would now like to give the floor to the representative of Brazil, also my friend Antonio Marcondes, Gaucho.
Gracias, Manuel. The G77 and chair and the basic the ambassador of the minister of South Africa have already spoken, and we associate ourselves with those statements. But I would be remiss if I didn't express my delegation's heartfelt appreciation for your effort, leadership, in guiding us through this difficult decision-making process. Brazil is glad that under your able guidance, a course was set on our route to Paris. Brazil will continue to engage in a constructive way, further inspired by the Lima spirit as we enter a decisive phase of negotiations until we adopt at COP21 in France a protocol, another legal instrument, or an agreed outcome with legal force under the convention applicable to all parties. We have a basis to negotiate the 2015 text. We also identified the upfront information of the NDC as mandated in Warsaw. And we also have a good base to enhance our collective work to foster ambition in the pre-2020 period. My delegation believes that a discussion on the nature and scope of INDCs and how they will be incorporated into the new agreement is required as a matter of priority under the ADP mandate to ensure ambition from all parties and to avoid backtracking from current levels of obligations. We have not gone that far in today's decision, but we have accepted the proposed compromise and will continue working towards a robust and ambitious agreement under the Convention in 2015. Thank you once again for your country's efforts and proverbial hospitality and your personal leadership. We leave Peru confident that we have paved the way to a successful COP in France. Gracias, Manuel. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Antonio, for your words, and also send our best regards to Isabella, the minister. So before to give the floor to Venezuela, let me also express my gratitude to Venezuela that organized the pre-COP in Margarita a month ago. They did a great work. They engaged the social organizations in a way that made them able to raise their voice and to send a good message to the COP20. So thank you to Venezuela. So that is what also I would like to give the floor to Claudia. So you have the floor.
Thank you, Manuel. Para mí es un honor muy grande haber compartido con Perú la responsabilidad o una responsabilidad particular en esta conferencia de las partes. Nosotros queremos subrayar en nombre de Venezuela, pero también en nombre de los países del ALBA, la alegría que nos produce que esta conferencia de las partes, que fue tan latinoamericana, haya sido un éxito. Nosotros tuvimos el honor de tener a Bolivia como presidencia del G77 y China, a Perú como presidencia de la COP y a Venezuela como organizadora de la pre-COP social, que esperamos sea la primera de muchas oportunidades para la sociedad civil y para las organizaciones y los movimientos sociales de participar con los ministros en el proceso de toma de decisiones y de construcción del nuevo acuerdo global. Venezuela, entonces, está feliz como fundadora de CELAC y miembro de la comunidad latinoamericana y del Caribe, de que países como México y como Perú hayan dado ejemplos tan maravillosos de diplomacia multilateral, y creemos que ese espíritu latinoamericano de un estilo de diplomacia respetuosa debe volar hacia París, y que ayudemos a Francia en todo lo que podamos a tener un maravilloso acuerdo que no va a ser un éxito para Francia, sino para el mundo. En ese sentido, le pedimos a Francia que considere la posibilidad de abrir espacios para la participación activa de las organizaciones sociales en la construcción del acuerdo del 2015. Hay voces muy valiosas en la parte de atrás de esta plenaria que merecen ser escuchadas y que merecen toda la atención de los ministros y de las organizaciones. Entonces, que busquemos juntos espacios para esas voces en la construcción del acuerdo que nos necesita a todos. Y a ti, Manuel, en lo personal, gracias por tu sonrisa y por tu respetuoso manejo de esta conferencia, que ha sido un éxito para París, pero yo considero que para América Latina y el Caribe también. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Claudia, representative from Venezuela, for your kindly words. Thank you very much. So let me now give the floor to the representative of China. Minister Xi, you have the floor.
谢谢主席。我们非常感谢主席的强有力的领导力，使我们这次会议呢，最后取得了成功。也非常感谢大会的所有的工作人员和秘鲁政府，为我们参会的所有的代表提供了周到的服务。也非常感谢两位联合主席，他们为这次会的成功也做了很多工作。我们还要感谢挪威和新加坡的部长，他们认真地听取了我们各个国家的意见他们做了很多艰苦的工作。也非常感谢所有的参加会的各个国家的代表团，展现了最大的灵活性，使我们这次会议呢取得了成功。我们今天的会议的成功呢，也就为巴黎会议奠定了一个非常好的基础。所以明年呢，我们各个国家还要向展现灵活性、信心和雄心，确保巴黎会议取得成功。谢谢参加会的所有国家的代表团，大家的努力使我们的这次会议取得了成功。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Minister Xi, for your words. So I would like to give the floor to the representative of Panama. So you do have the floor.
Buenas noches, Manuel. Primeramente, agradecemos y felicitamos el esfuerzo del pueblo peruano y de todo su equipo en esta COP. También queremos resaltar algunas innovaciones que se dieron en la organización de este evento por parte del gobierno peruano. Una de esas fue el desarrollo de los eventos paralelos, donde pudimos observar una masiva participación de la sociedad civil peruana. Este es un ejemplo que deben seguir los organizadores de futuros eventos para asegurar que la temática climática se sigue socializando en este planeta. Señor presidente, nuestra coalición de países con bosques tropicales acepta el texto adoptado y reconoce el extenso trabajo que usted realizó con los ministros de Noruega y de Singapur para abordar todas las consultas de todas las partes. Nuestra coalición trabajó con usted
realizamos cerca de 4 sesiones en las cuales se discutieron todos los temas relacionados con red. Y nos llenó de mucho placer que usted haya reconocido que este es un tema importante y haya sido incluido en los acuerdos. Señor presidente, además deseamos recordar que solo podremos lograr las ambiciosas metas de cambio de temperatura por debajo de 2 grados si el Acuerdo de París incluye efectivamente el tema de Red Más. En ese sentido, instamos a todas las partes que intensifiquemos nuestro trabajo hacia las metas de París. Por último, Manuel y señor Canciller, el Gobierno de la República de Panamá les extiende las más cálidas felicitaciones y les desea el mayor de los éxitos. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
Thank you very much to the representative of Panama and also to your minister, Mireille Endara. Thank you for all your support. So I would like now to give the floor to the representative of Nauru. So you do have the floor.
Mr. President, AOS wishes to associate itself with the statement made by Bolivia on behalf of G77 and China. We would like to express our appreciation to our gracious hosts, the government and the people of Peru. Thank you for your hospitality and for your excellent organization of this conference. On behalf of the Alliance of Small Island States in particular, we would like to express our sincerest gratitude to you and the ADP co-chairs, Arthur and our own Kishan, the ministers of Norway and Singapore, to get us to this satisfactory conclusion. The Lima Call for Climate Action. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to the representative of Nauru. So now I would like to give the floor to the representative of the USA. So Todd, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I first of all want to congratulate you and your very skilled staff for the leadership that you have shown, for your good cheer and decency of all of your team. I congratulate as well the expert work and important leadership role played over the last 2 years by your co-chairs. The agreement itself, the Lima Accord for Climate Action, delivers what we need to go forward. First, to put forward our INDCs well in advance of Paris. Second, we agreed to transparency requirements for the targets that countries will put forward in the first half of next year to make sure that they put them forward in a clear and understandable manner. Third, we decided that next year parties can communicate their efforts to become more resilient, and this will be helpful as countries work to integrate adaptation into development planning. And fourth, we continue to make good progress on developing the elements of the 2015 agreement. We now have a working document from which we can continue our conversations in February. It wasn't always easy guiding this decision to a safe landing. Even this morning, things looked somewhat uncertain. But I should say, Mr. President, that you never stopped working, you never lost faith, you never ceased to exude a confidence and optimism and belief that I think inspired all of us. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you personally for your leadership, for your commitment, and for your generous spirit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Todd. Thank you very much for your kindly words. So now I would like to give the floor to the representative of Nepal. So you will have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have the honor to speak on behalf of the least developed country group. Allow me to congratulate you for your hard work, dedication, and leadership to bring this COP to a successful end. Finally, it is a successful COP in Lima that we consider. We welcome the Lima call for climate action as you have recently announced. Mr. President, the LDC group welcomed the progress made in Lima on issues related to National Adaptation Plan, NAPS. We call for adequate support for the formulation and implementation of the NAPS. At the same time, we urge the developed parties and other parties in the position to do so, to contribute to the LDCF in order to support the full implementation of the LDC work program. Mr. President, our full version of the statement will be handed over to the Secretariat. But finally, on the ADP, we welcome progress made here in Lima. Despite of several clouds for the last couple of days, you managed it very carefully and tactfully that the whole world against climate change is reunited. We also thank all the parties for their understanding and maintaining a cooperative spirit. The LDC group commends the hard work of the presidency as you have taken yourself, including in consulting with various groups and advancing the work of this important body. We thank both the co-chairs, Arthur and Kisan, for your hard work, patience, and cooperativeness throughout your tenure. We congratulate for the ongoing incoming co-chairs as well. Mr. President, LDCs assure our full commitment to be working together with you in the days ahead. We feel Lima a successful COP, and we look forward to intensifying this work in the next year in Paris. We wish you all the best for the next year as well, and to have a safe journey back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my friend, representative of Nepal, for all your support. So let me give now the floor to the representative of Malaysia. So you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I take the floor on behalf of the like-minded developing countries. Mr. President, last night, I must confess that we had rather worried moments. We were presented with a text. There was a push. We didn't like the text. It was unbalanced. There were fears that there could be some sort of action taken or adoption on the basis of acclamation. In short, the ghosts of the past could be resurrected from Copenhagen, from Doha, from Durban, and so on and so forth. So we reacted rather quickly. We realized that, and we felt that the text represented an approach that would chip away at the fundamental construct of the convention itself. We saw it as an attack on some of the core elements of the convention. So we set to work, and in a way, this provided solidarity, because the reaction amongst almost in unison the entire developing world was to do something quite urgent, quite quickly about it. In that sense, perhaps wittingly or otherwise, that presentation of that text brought us together, and for that perhaps we have to thank those who presented that, because the solidarity was forged, and we worked till the very late hours of the morning. In fact, as far as our group is concerned, we only returned home at 6 in the morning and came back at 7:45, so we hardly slept. And we understand that when we left, the Africa group was still working. So the whole idea was to we worked hard to try to recapture a lost balance of the text. The question is, did we succeed? Well, there are still concerns in this present text. For example, Article 4 of the Convention is not mentioned. Finance is just as regards preparation, but not implementation of the post-2020 action. We asked for information on the annual quantitative targets. We did not get that. There is also the question of paragraph 3 and 4 of the Warsaw mandate that required accelerated implementation. And all that we have got is a reiteration, but not an operationalization of paragraphs 3 and 4, which to us is rather important. Then again, fair has been suggested. There is a phraseology relating to fair. We understand this fair to mean that it would accord with the provisions and structure of the Convention, principle of equity, CBDR, and so on. But on balance then, when we looked at it, collectively, as a group, we found that there were many features that also helped us to cross the red lines that we had talked about this morning. The CBDR, there is a clear provision in the operational part of the text, and this read together with the preambular paragraphs which requires that work of the Durban platform be guided by the principles of the Convention, together suggests to us cumulatively that the CBDR has been given restored its rightful place within the context of the Convention and the work that we are going to continue. Then we also have the differential issue sorted out in many ways, including in finance. Scope, there are a lot of good features. There is expression of a balanced approach. And of course, the ex-ante approach has been largely done away with. So we find that this text is something that we can accept. Of course, nobody is happy, but the unhappiness is of a kind that is sufficiently marginal as to warrant our applauding the adoption of this text. 2 or 3 other points that we wish to make on behalf of the like-minded group. First is that we found that we have forged a solidarity of the developing world along lines that we had not seen before. Diverse as we are, we share a culture, we share a history. We have the African group, the small islands, the least developed countries, the Arab group, ALBA, and of course our own group. We got together in a way that perhaps has not been precedented for a long time. Of course, there are some cleavages, but we ask all of us developing countries, come home together, come home to us. As far as the second point, as far as the process is concerned, now we feel that there has been a restoration of the process. It has come back on an even keel. And this is the kind of process that we should think about, talk about, and pursue. We also have, because there is a lot of work ahead, this is only a small part of the work. The real work is towards the 2015, establishing the 2015 agreement, and therefore it perhaps may not be inapposite for me to suggest to our negotiating partners, we would like to urge our negotiating partners that not to be quick on the take to suggest that we are not constructive, that we are blocking, that all the overtures that we make to introduce CRPs or to ask for line by line, to ask for screen showing of the scripts of the text that we intend to proceed, do not treat that as an indication of the fact, or do not be quick to come to the conclusion, and do not suggest that this is an attempt to, this is a subterfuge to block. It is not, as you have seen very clearly today. So we are in the process of democratizing in a very complete way this whole multilateral process. Let us do it in a spirit of equal partnership. The days of, as you know, the days of imposition are over. So let us do it through an outcome in ways that are not alien to the fundamental precepts of transparency, inclusiveness, and respect. Let us banish once and for all the ghosts of the past and signal a return to multilateral decision-making where countries, large and small, rich and poor, take their rightful place in the community of nations. Perhaps this is what we take away with us, that we have somewhat restored on an even keel this whole process of negotiations, and this would be the spirit of Lima that has added a new dimension to the multilateral decision-making process. Mr. President, you had a duty, you lived up to it, you lived up to the promise that you made that you would ensure an inclusive, transparent process. No tricks, no last minute take it or leave it. You treated us, Mr. President, in language, tone, and dialogue with a sense of respect. And we, of course, reciprocated. That is what the duty of a president is all about. And the incoming president, whom we congratulated, who gave a speech a little earlier on, would, of course, have a hard task to fill in with the kind of qualities that you have shown, but we have no doubt that he would be in a perfect position to fulfill this. Mr. Chairman, one final point that I wish to make, and this is on the question of loss and damage. I was supposed to have flown to Cusco this morning, but because of what happened last night, I ended up not in Cusco, but in a room called Cusco. That cost me a lot of expenses. I can't recover it, and therefore I hope there will be one final consultation I can have with you so that my loss and damage can be restored in a spirit. Mr. President, the final point that I wish to make is that we have enjoyed the whole process here. We have seen you extremely active. We see you in the horizon, and then you disappear, and then we see you in the room, and then you disappear. But all this has added up to this accord, the Lima Accord for climate change. We thank you. We thank the people of Peru. Muchos gracias.
Thank you very much. I think that with what you have shown, with your flexibility, you have already brought the spirit of Cusco into here. So you probably have felt what it means, that spirit. Thank you very much. So let me give the floor to the last on the Paris list, the representative of Chile. So my friend Andrés, you will have the floor.
Señor Presidente, señor Ministro, Manuel, tengo el honor de hacer esta intervención en nombre del grupo de países ILAC, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Panamá y Perú. Señor Presidente, nosotros hacemos eco del llamado de Lima para la acción climática y aplaudimos su entrega en el mandato de Lima. Muy brevemente, solo queremos felicitarlo por el trabajo intenso suyo y el de su equipo en estas 2 semanas, así como el trabajo preparatorio que le antecedió, porque creemos que son un testimonio inequívoco de la tarea fundamental que reposa sobre esta convención y que resulta crítico para asegurar la compatibilidad del crecimiento económico con el desarrollo sostenible, bajo en carbono y resiliente, y por supuesto con el bienestar de las generaciones presentes y futuras. Señor Presidente, creemos que su liderazgo sin duda ha permitido que avancemos juntos hacia la acción climática efectiva. Con este sentido de responsabilidad y trayendo a la mesa ideas y propuestas constructivas que acercaran los intereses de todas las partes, respetando el tiempo de nuestros colegas, conscientes de la urgencia de nuestro trabajo y en el espíritu del compromiso, señor presidente, AILAC seguirá comprometida con avanzar en estas negociaciones para lograr un acuerdo que aborde las causas y los efectos del cambio climático con acción por parte de todos los países. Señor presidente, agradecemos y felicitamos el gran esfuerzo de la presidencia peruana, ya que Lima dio el impulso y la claridad necesaria para que los trabajos durante 2015 nos permitan llegar a la COP21 en París con un resultado efectivo, balanceado y provechoso, en el que todas las partes sientan representadas no solo sus intereses, sino su compromiso colectivo con un verdadero desarrollo bajo en carbono y resiliente. Señor presidente, colegas, los retos no son menores, como en estos últimos días ha quedado en evidencia, pero creemos que el interés público y colectivo debe ser el referente para que las partes continúen trabajando conjuntamente con un espíritu constructivo y enfocado durante los próximos meses que se avecinan para la identificación de los consensos. Señor presidente Manuel, permítame a título personal decirle que para mí es un honor trabajar nuevamente bajo su liderazgo y creo que su carrera y la forma en que ha llevado adelante su trabajo son un ejemplo para las generaciones que vienen. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Muchas gracias, Andrés. Buen amigo hace muchos años, representante de Chile. So before to leave the floor to the representatives from observer constituencies, let me also say that it has been a great pleasure to work with the Secretariat, with Christiana, with you, with Richard, and also because all the trust that they have shown to us. 6 months ago, when we have already decided to organize the COP, and when we received the first visit of the logistic and organization person, here in these premises there were just sand in a big hole. But even though that was the reality, they trusted on us because we have shown that we can do it. But sure, with the support of the Secretariat, we have made able this conference, these premises, in a way to make you feel as in home. So thank you, Christiana, Richard, and Jung, for all your support. Thank you very much. And also, let me give my recognition to all of you for this detail that I think that has left a very important signal to the future COPs. Since the beginning of this COP in the plenary, we have had the opportunity to give very early during the plenary session the observer constituencies, a couple of members from the youth and from the women and gender movement. So that has shown that you, the parties, have been able to recognize that it is important also to listen to their voice. I think that it is important because create trust, not only between the parties, but also with citizens and with organizations. So thank you for that. So now I would like to invite a representative from the constituencies on environmental NGOs to deliver their statement. So you do have the floor.
Thank you very much. My name is Ruth Nyambura. I am from Kenya, and I'm part of the Climate Justice Now network. The world faces a planetary emergency, climate change, caused by a system that puts the pursuit of profit above the needs of people and the limits of nature. It is already devastating millions of people across the planet. Climate science predicts we will soon reach critical tipping points and could be locked into 4 to 5 degrees of warming with catastrophic impacts for us all. The Lima conference should have been a milestone that marked out how governments will take urgent action to tackle climate change and to support vulnerable people across the world to adapt to its locked-in impact. The concrete demand was to set out how we would increase emission reductions from now until 2020 and set long-term climate targets to make sure we limit temperature increase to below 1.5 degrees. Therefore, climate targets need to keep us within the emissions budget, which should be shared based on the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities and honor climate debt. What we have seen in Lima is another in a series of yearly decisions that weaken international climate rules, failing people and the planet. The pre-2020 mitigation pledges are unjust and weak and put us on a track to breach a 2-degree of warming by mid-century. The promised increases in pledges didn't materialize in 2014, nor was there a commitment to urgently revisit, revise, or review them. Lima prepares us for an agreement in Paris that ignores the needs and rights of impacted people across the world by precluding binding commitments on finance, adaptation, loss and damage, and technology transfer. This outcome fails to link the actions of countries with the technology and the finance that is needed to enable people in the South to adapt and build resilience and deal with the loss and damage from the impacts of climate change, as well as to carry out mitigation actions without which the world will not reach the scale of transformation and just transition needed to limit temperature rise below 1.5 degrees. Leaving Lima, we see that again, a backdoor has been opened for the further expansion of the failed experiment of carbon markets, including possibly carbon credits from forests and soil, which undermines communities' land rights and would be devastating to farmers and forest communities across the world, whilst preventing the transformation that we need. The People's Summit and its march through the streets of Lima on Wednesday demanded the defense of Mother Earth and the guarantee of rights of all peoples of all genders. It presented a clear vision for solutions to the climate crisis and for alternatives to these causes. People across the world are taking up these alternatives and fighting to transform the system. We are struggling for survival and for the safety and security of our homes and livelihoods from climate disasters. We will reclaim power from those who don't act in our interest. We will resist the imposition of a climate deal that does nothing for climate and even less for people. You tried to bury us here in Lima, but we are seeds and we will grow into a forest of resistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the representative from the constituency of environmental NGOs for your statement. So, as I should step out the plenary for a press conference, let me give the direction of the debate to Ambassador Jorge Boto Bernales, Vice President of the COP. So, Ambassador, thank you very much.
I now invite a representative on behalf of the Indigenous Peoples Organizations constituency to deliver a statement. You have the floor.
Buenas noches, excelencias, hermanos y hermanas del mundo. Muchas gracias por esta oportunidad. en nombre del Foro Internacional de Pueblos Indígenas sobre Cambio Climático, quisiera resaltar los siguientes puntos en camino hacia la COP21. El Acuerdo de París del 2015 debe contener lenguaje operativo que cumpla con el compromiso del Acuerdo de Cancún. Cancún reconoce explícitamente que los países partes de la Convención deben respetar plenamente los derechos humanos, incluyendo los derechos de los pueblos indígenas, en toda decisión relativa al cambio climático. En el Acuerdo 2015 se debe garantizar la participación plena y efectiva de los pueblos indígenas en todo proceso, programa y acción a todo nivel. El quinto reporte del IPCC reconoce que nuestros sistemas de conocimiento tradicional y nuestra visión holística de comunidad y ambiente son recursos claves para adaptación global a este cambio climático. Este es un paso en la dirección correcta, pero necesitamos ir más allá. Los datos científicos muestran que la propiedad colectiva y la titulación integral de tierra, territorios y recursos de los pueblos indígenas, así como el respeto por nuestros usos y manejos tradicionales, son la manera más efectiva de proteger ecosistemas frágiles como bosques, manglares y glaciares. El Acuerdo del 2015 debe honorar nuestra herencia cultural, innovaciones, tecnologías, cosmovisiones y valores espirituales. El acuerdo debe reconocer el importante rol de los pueblos indígenas en la adaptación y mitigación y proveer una valoración adecuada de los beneficios más allá del carbono. Mientras hablamos, pueblos y líderes indígenas están siendo asesinados por defender bosques, los ecosistemas y el clima. Nuestro destino de vida como pueblos está unido totalmente a nuestras tierras y territorios. Sobreviviremos o desapareceremos juntos con ellos, y eso afectará también la sobrevivencia planetaria. Por eso, las acciones y soluciones climáticas deben estar en las manos de quienes lo defienden. Las partes deben asegurar el acceso directo de los pueblos indígenas al financiamiento a través del establecimiento de fondos dedicados para atender las necesidades prioritarias decididas por los pueblos indígenas. Dichos fondos, incluso el Fondo Verde del Clima, no deben ser utilizados para el mercado, sino para la protección, conservación y manejo integral y sustentable de los bosques. Por lo tanto, nuestros territorios, nuestros bosques no están en venta. Por último, los pueblos indígenas debemos tener puestos con estatus de observadores activos en el Fondo Verde del Clima. Pasonki Maroni, muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias por su declaración. I now invite a representative on behalf of the local government and municipal authorities constituency to deliver a statement. You have the floor.
Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs les délégués, la route de Paris est donc maintenant ouverte et nous mesurons tous le chemin qui reste à parcourir pour un accord qui réponde aux défis du changement climatique, mais aussi au développement, deux enjeux totalement liés, nous avons pu le constater aujourd'hui. Au-delà des grandes déclarations, la négociation sur le climat, c'est d'abord notre capacité à forger des outils efficaces permettant à chacun d'agir à la hauteur de ses capacités et responsabilités. Justement, pour nous, gouvernements locaux et subnationaux, l'important travail mené avant cette conférence par les deux coprésidents de l'ADP, que nous remercions encore, a été précieuse et a reconnu l'importance de notre rôle avec de fortes et précises propositions pour renforcer notre capacité d'intervention dans l'adaptation comme la mitigation, pour l'avenir durable de nos territoires. Nous regrettons que les négociations de Lima n'aient pas permis de valider ces nouveaux outils, mais nous espérons que le texte de l'accord de Paris confirmera un soutien fort à l'action des gouvernements locaux et subnationaux en cohérence avec les fortes paroles du Lima Climate Action High Level Meeting et la présentation de la Nazca Initiative. Nous vous remercions particulièrement, Monsieur le Président, vous transmettrez pour votre implication dans l'organisation de cet événement. Le 1er novembre 2015, un rapport présentera le résultat des contributions nationales. Nous réaffirmons qu'elles peuvent et doivent intégrer les actions de leurs gouvernements locaux et subnationaux. C'est une des conditions essentielles pour que l'agrégation des efforts permette de se situer dans la trajectoire des 2 degrés. Sans attendre l'accord de Paris, nous allons continuer à développer des actions ambitieuses, à mobiliser les habitants de nos territoires, à dialoguer avec l'ensemble des acteurs non étatiques. Nous présenterons nos engagements et propositions dans de nombreux rendez-vous en 2015, à Séoul, à Bonn, à Lyon en Rhône-Alpes, à Bogota et bien sûr à Paris. Nous continuerons aussi à faire le lien avec les négociations sur les objectifs du développement durable, les 2 négociations de l'automne 2015 étant pour nous étroitement liées. Monsieur le Président, vous pouvez donc compter sur notre détermination et notre soutien pour un accord historique à Paris en 2015. Je vous remercie.
Merci pour votre déclaration. I now invite a representative on behalf of the Women and Gender NGOs constituency to deliver a statement. You have the floor.
Marina Pervin. Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Voy a dar lectura a la declaración de mi compañera, quien no pudo estar aquí porque tuvo que volver a su país. I am Marina Pervin from Bangladesh, where up to 20 million people may be displaced by 2020. For the indigenous Mundas women that I work closely with, poverty and extreme vulnerability are a daily reality. We no longer have any soil to plant, and we fight harder and harder to make our families and communities survive floods, salinity, droughts, and typhoons. I expect that the negotiations would lead to an agreement that will assure that the Mundas women and all women, children and men, the right to imagine a future. I have traveled all the way to Bangladesh, leaving my home and family, hoping to see a commitment to an effective and equitable new agreement that is binding, ambitious, and transformative. A commitment to uphold human rights, gender equality, and the rights of the future generations. I'm deeply horrified to see you negotiating away women's futures, women's rights, and the security of our planet. It pains me that when I go back, I will tell my people that wealthy governments just talk about lands that will be lost, communities displaced, cultures displaced, and which lives are less important. It shocks me that even gender equality was negotiated. Ministers, don't backtrack on agreed commitments and mandates to protect people and the planet. We cannot achieve a sustainable future, just and liable planet without gender equality and upholding the rights of all people. And there can be no rights on a dead planet. Your lack of urgency and will in these meetings has left us dismayed, but it's not too late. You must shape a new future and design a new world, redistribute wealth, power, resources, and opportunities to allow Mundas women to imagine a future. Ministers, you have to prove that all lives are important. We will not allow you to fail us. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. I now invite a representative on behalf of the Youth NGOs constituency to deliver a statement. You have the floor.
Nisa Bolulivinaka. My name is Kaya, and I come from Fiji. I speak on behalf of the Pacific Youth, as our only representative here. I also speak on behalf of the youth everywhere, which means I speak for half the world's population. I am not here to preach to you or to tell you what you have done wrong. I am here to tell you a story. It is a simple one, to help guide you on the road to Paris. A world away from here lives 10.5 million proud people. Our land may be small, but our oceans are great. So is our ability to persevere, to fight, and to survive. However, with each passing day, surviving becomes harder. Our people may not understand the complexities of climate science, the jargon, the acronyms, the graphs. What we do know is the tides rise higher and reach deeper than ever before. Our islands are slowly washing away. Salt water has crept into our land, killing crops and spoiling fresh drinking water. Our fish and coral are dying as our seas grow warmer and change. The weather has changed so much that we can no longer read it. We fear the drought as much as we fear the floods. This is our reality. People of the Pacific are the people of the ocean. We are meant to live next to it, with it, from it, not meant to be drowned by it. Our people are doing all that we can to survive, yet we cannot do it alone. 1.5 degrees is our only hope. For us, it is sink or swim. Our hope is fast fading. For some of us, it is too late, making strong and effective loss and damage measures are non-negotiable. 20 years have passed in the life of these negotiations. The Pacific does not have 20 more. No matter what is done or what is not, we have drawn our red line in the sand. We will survive. Will you help us?
I thank you for your statement. I now invite the Secretariat to provide us with a preliminary assessment of the resource implications of decisions adopted by the COP here in Lima. Richard, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There have been a number of activities coming out of the negotiations at this session that call for more support by the Secretariat and therefore require additional resources in the coming years over and above the core budget for 2014-2015. First, under item of the agenda 3A, report of the Substa, an additional funding in the amount of 250,000 euros is required in 2015 to implement the training program for review experts for the technical review of greenhouse gas inventories of Annex 1 parties, including the examination of experts, giving priority to annual training seminars, and modifying relevant information technology tools to support the implementation of the review process. Under Agenda Item 4, Report of the ADP, additional funding in the amount of €350,000 is required in 2015 to deliver outputs the Secretariat has been requested in relation to technical aspects of Workstream 2, high-level event on climate action, technical expert meetings, and updates of technical papers and policy papers. In addition, in relation to INDCs, to publish these on the UNFCCC website and to compile information into a synthesis report on the aggregate effect of the INDCs communicated by parties. And thirdly, under Agenda Item 8, Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage associated with climate change impacts, the Secretariat has been requested to support and facilitate the work of the Executive Committee by organizing 2 meetings of the committee in 2015, facilitating the support of experts to the work of the committee and staff support to implementation of the work plan, with the costs of these efforts estimated at €790,000 in 2015. All of these amounts are preliminary and are based on the available information at this time. The total amounts to €1.4 million for the biennium 2014-2015. Several activities, though, will be carried out beyond 2015 and will require additional funding. I hope that we can count on the continued generosity of parties to provide funding for these activities in a timely and predictable manner, as without these additional contributions, the Secretariat would not be in a position to provide the requested support. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Richard. I invite the conference to consider Agenda Sub-Item 22A, adoption of the report of the conference on its 20th session. The draft report is contained in document FCCC CP 2014 L3. On behalf of the rapporteur, I present to the Conference of the Parties for its consideration the draft report on its 20th session contained in document FCCC CP 2014 L3. Delegates may note that certain sections of the report consist solely of headings, since actions on the items in question could only be taken today. Other elements, such as the section on attendance, will be completed upon verification of all relevant details. The final report will also reflect the submission of additional credentials received from 2 parties. With the help of the Secretariat and under the authority of the President, the rapporteur will complete the text of the report as appropriate and incorporate decisions and conclusions as adopted by the Conference. The advanced and edited versions of the decisions adopted today will be posted on the UNFCCC website after the closure of the conference. I invite the COP to adopt the draft report on the understanding that the rapporteur, with the assistance of the Secretariat, will complete the report and make it available to all parties. I now propose that we adopt the draft report of the Conference of the Parties on its 20th session. Hearing no objection, it is so decided. I invite the COP to consider Agenda Sub-Item 22B, closure of the session. I am delighted to present to you the draft resolution, expression of gratitude to the government of the Republic of Peru and the people of the city of Lima. The government of France has submitted this draft resolution. I give the floor to France.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et j'ai effectivement l'honneur et le plaisir de vous présenter un projet de résolution intitulé « Expression de gratitude au gouvernement de la République du Pérou et au peuple de la ville de Lima pour son hospitalité chaleureuse et généreuse et qui a largement contribué au succès de cette conférence. » Merci.
Thank you for your statement and for taking this initiative. I now invite the conference to adopt the resolution contained in document FCCC CP 2014 L6. Hearing no objections, it is so decided. This brings us to the end of this COP. I sincerely thank you for all your hard work over many long hours to reach a successful outcome here at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Lima. I declare the 20th session of the Conference of the Parties closed.